So here we are. It seems like we've come a full circle. We've come all the way back to the start of the original video guide. So what was the point of this video series? Well, hopefully I've shown how I learnt to program, how I learnt to write code that I can use in Unity, and also make our code efficient so that we can write scripts that we can use across multiple projects. And instead of just whacking some videos together, just following my guide and saying, basically, look, here it is, it works. I've expanded on this, gone back to the very beginning, absolute basics, shown some basic principles, some basic coding, and how to develop your code, do some debugging, do some testing, making mistakes and looking at them and fixing them. Always an important part to any programmer. And yeah, so hopefully this time when we come to this scene, exactly like we had before, you have a much deeper understanding of how this was made and all the scripts that have gone into it. And by now, hopefully, you're ready to move on. You're actually going to start building stuff for yourself. That'd be awesome. And what we need is new ideas. We need to keep the innovation going. Anyway, that's enough rambling by me. So, essentially, we're only halfway there, aren't we? This is almost exactly the same as the first guide, except for one important factor. Where's our enemy? So let's put him in. Now, one of the other major problems that people seem to have, as well as picking up papers, which honestly, I've got to admit, I don't understand at this stage with all the videos and written answers and things that I've done. Hopefully you are picking up papers. I can't see why not, especially with the two standalone videos. That should clear up absolutely everything on raycasting, sphere casting, and picking up papers. So let's just leave that alone. We're picking up papers. Now, where's our NPC? Where's our enemy? Where's our Slender Man? That's what I was getting to. The second problem people are having is using models. So let's just work a bit slowly. Let's work more deeply on that. Now, before we even look at the model, let's build our NPC character just like we did in our prototyping. So let's go and pick somewhere that's a little way off at least. Let's go and grab a position over here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to create a capsule. Okay. And he's floating way up in the air. Let's get him where we want him. There we go. So he's touching the terrain somewhere around about there. So we have our capsule. Let's name our capsule enemy so we know exactly what we're working with here. Zoom in on him. And as you can see, make sure his collider is not penetrating the terrain. You can lift it up a bit. He's a rigid body, he's going to drop right down. That's the other point of the new series, the new improved character model. Now, currently we have the capsule rendered, and we absolutely don't want that. So let's take our mesh renderer and completely remove the component. Now, we are using the mesh filter with the collider, so I'm not going to muck around with that. So here we have essentially an empty game object with a capsule collider. So first we're going to attach that script that we spent so long prototyping, our NPC movement, drag and drop him on there. And as our smart script has shown us, it's automatically attached our rigid body component. And within the script we freeze the rotations. That's fine, we can leave all that alone. Now, here's Slender. We have our Slender ticked. We'll muck around with the minimum range a little bit later on as I show how to increment the distance for each paper that you collect. So let's leave that alone even. And we'll also increase the speed as we pick up more papers. So let's just leave all that alone. Back to our enemy. main thing we need to look at here is our target. Since we are not finding the player and applying him, we have to assign our target manually. Alright, so drag and drop your player into the target. Save the scene. Okay, now let's just give it a quick play and see if it's actually working without doing anything else. Okay, and there we have it. Something that people talk about and I've never really seen before. Oh, okay. My first assumption was that he fell through the floor, but no, he teleported. And he teleported pretty quickly. So there's something I did in testing which I haven't rectified. Let's go back to our not so smart script. To the start function. Now we have commented out the original values I was using. Now remember I threw these in when we were teleporting, just so that we could see everything was working. Now you see why I've commented this out. All I have to do is delete that section. Now we have it, the original values. So after 60 seconds, he's going to call teleport enemy. And then every 20 seconds after that, he's going to check if he can teleport again. Save that script, so we're back to exactly how it should be. Let Unity compile. Okay, now let's hit play. Let's find him and hit play. There we are, he's highlighted there. Now what's changed? Why is visible? Okay, there we go, he's moving now. So he is visible, but with a distance check firstly, because he's so far away, he's past that 45. He's actually not visible. So there he is, he's looking at us, he's walking towards us, he's doing his raycast in case there's any buildings or anything in the way. He's coming closer, he's doing his line cast, and he is at a point where he's visible. Yeah, we're turned around from him. Of course we can't see him because he doesn't have a renderer. But that was the point. We're just seeing if our script still works. And that does. Okay, let's get on to the fun stuff. So we've created an enemy object. Now, we want to use a model. So let's see what we can do about that. Now, before I do, I think the capsule collider comes in at 2 units tall. So I'm even going to create a cube just as a quick reference. I'm going to get rid of that real quick. But for now, I know this cube is 1 unit cubed. So, just as I assumed, the capsule collider has come in at 2 high. I do want to make him a bit bigger, so I'm going to make him 3 high. So on our capsule collider, we have our height set to 2. Let's set it to 3. And our radius is expanded to now 0.5. Now we've gone from 2 to 3. Let's start the other way around. So it's 3 divided by 2. It's our multiplier. So that's 1.5 times 0.5. So 0.75. So we'll give him a radius 0.75. Okay, that's just keeping the scale of things. So we've just made our guy a bit bigger. Again, make sure that collider is not penetrating the ground. So we have our cube reference. We can get rid of that now. Okay, so we have our enemy. Now to the fun stuff. Now for this episode, my Slender Man is going to be played by Mr. Maze Element Ice Golem. So thank you, Andre. And I don't need to log in because I've already imported, and you know why I don't log in, because you'll see my personal email. So, when you're happy, grab your model from wherever you are grabbing your model from, and these are going to import quite messy. Okay, so we should have a whole bunch of new assets in here. No, not yet. Where are my assets? player. Okay, that looks like something's happened there. Here we go, player, golem. So they have tidied that up nicely. That is imported into its own folder. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this folder models underscore to show it's something that I know that I've brought in. And then we have our golem. So let's start seeing how we can use our model. Well, first, let's just drag it into the scene. Now where is he? Let's make him a child of the enemy, because he is going to be the graphic of the enemy. So, I need to expand that. Let's set his position relative to parent. Okay. So we can see, yep, now he's there. And there's our forward, so let's face that way so we can see what's going on. Alright, so he hasn't come in at the right scale. So now we need to look at this model, and we need to look at the import settings. It comes with a whole bunch of animations. I'm going to leave them go. Most importantly, do not generate colliders. Leave it exactly like this. No colliders. We have our own collider. We have a capsule collider. So do not import colliders. Back to our model. Now we need to size him. So I might bring in my reference cube yet again. So let's get my reference cube, and this time our Y is going to be 3 because it's 3 high. And similarly, just so we can get a reference, there we go. So if we click on the enemy object, we can see there's our capsule, and our cube is showing our capsule dimensions. I'm just going to offset that so we can now check our model scale in relation to our cube, which is just a reference. So back to the model and the import settings of the model. Now, looks like he needs to be 3 times as tall as he is. Let's multiply that out by 3. I'm not going to touch any other settings, and we're not generating colliders. Hit apply. Wait for Unity to do its thing. And it looks like our model is starting to get a suitable scale. Let's bring him down on the Y because his center's a bit different. I need a better reference. There we go. Better reference angle. That's even better. So while I've got the column, now because it's a rigid body and it does slightly sink in, I'm just going to leave the gap under his feet there. Let's check the forward of our object. Okay, there's the forward of our object. There's the forward of our model. So that's great. Everything's starting to come together. So I'm actually happy with that scale. I don't even need to refine that further. So I'm going to get rid of my cube reference. Now let's look at our model as a child of our collider. There we go. Everything all seems to be working out. It's all sitting in there. His feet are slightly above. Got any issues about that? We could even bring it up a little bit higher. There we go. So if he sinks in, his feet don't sink into the ground. Now that's it. That's how to use your own model. You start with a capsule. You remove the renderer. Attach the MPC script to the capsule. Then rescale the capsule collider. Then import your model. And using some kind of reference, get him to the correct scale. Make him a child of your capsule collider. And as you see here, we have no colliders on the graphic. This is just a graphic. This is just a visual. This is what's doing all the work. The capsule collider, the rigid body, and the script. Okay? It's all the trickery of programming. Okay, so enough said. Now let's even get, look, he's on idle. Now, because we only ever see the guy when we're staring at him, we don't have to muck around with animations, so let's just leave him on idle. Okay, so let's see if this has worked for us. First, save the scene. Now, let's hit play. There's our enemy inside the capsule collider, moving with him because he is a child of the collider. And there we have it. That's how to use your own model. It's coming in. Let's go to the play scene, see if we can see it happen. Where are you, fella? There you go. No, do I see something over there? No. Hey! It's happening! There we go, we're looking at him. So he doesn't move. He's going to look right at us. That's fantastic. So turn around. We do something else. We come back. Whoa! Okay. So that's it. Everything's come around.